Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Weighing In podcast. George just had his tooth taken out, so I will be solo tonight. I believe it was his tooth taken out. I know he had a huge toothache and just got back from the dentist, being there all day trying to get it fixed. So I'm assuming he got drugged up, a little snowed out, and woke up going, man, I won't be able to really talk. My mouth is swollen. So the other thing I want to say is happy birthday to Podcast Dave. Those of you guys drop a comment in the comments there for Podcast Dave. Let him know, hey, happy birthday, brother. Happy birthday, happy birthday. You're looking like 45, 43, somewhere around there, only a couple years behind me. I know you're supposed to be 10 years behind me, but nah, man, you're looking old. The receding hairline, getting all the way back. I get it. But hey, man, Podcast Dave, my boy's been with me since day one when I started Sammy the Punk, and then, obviously with Big John, we started weighing in. So I want to wish him a very happy birthday. And George, I know you'll be listening to this because you'll be editing it later. Man, I hope you feel better. I know you're probably a little looped up right now, and hopefully the sound and audio comes through on this pretty well. But hey, guys, we had a very good UFC card tonight. There were some good fights. I mean, a little one-sided in some areas, but there were some good fights. I also, later on the agenda will be some things. I've got the Bo Nickel coming off the main event. We'll talk about that a little bit. We have the update on the rules. I talked to the commission a little bit this week. I talked to Andy Foster, had a good chance to talk to him. And I guess we'll wrap it up with a little talk about Gable Steveson and his performance over in Dirty Boxing, as well as, his MMA performance that he had most recently about, 2 months ago, jumping right back in there and getting into a fight in some boxing. So, dirty boxing. But let's go ahead and start off with the UFC Fight Night card at the Apex. Let's talk about the main event tonight. Yes, Steve Garcia versus David Onama. I'd like to say there's a lot to say about this, but there's not much. And I want to be respectful of David Onama. But to be honest, I almost felt like it was too big of a night for him. There was too much. Steve Garcia doesn't allow fighters to get in front of him and try to capture the moment. He brings the action right away, and I don't think Onama was ready for that. I think he was ready for almost like a sparring session. We're going to come out, we're going to feel each other a little bit, and he's going to respect my range and my speed and my stand-up. And Steve Garcia's like, nah, man, that's not how this works. I'm going to come out here, I'm going to punch a hole in your face. And he mixed it up very well. Steve Garcia did everything from push kicks up the middle, combinations, overhand lefts. I mean, he was putting it all together. Body shots, straight body shots. He was doing it all. Steve Garcia looked awesome tonight. I mean, there is no reason when I take a look at his fight, there is no reason why I'm not thinking about offering him somebody up in that top 5, top 6. I mean, I would go, maybe the highest I would go would probably be like, what I mean by that is closer to him is Josh Emmett. But I would probably take him all the way down to maybe an Arnold Allen. That'd be a fantastic fight. Both of them are good on the feet. Both of them don't mind wrestling a little bit. Arnold Allen, his wrestling's gotten a lot better. His scrambling has for sure gotten a lot better in terms of anti-wrestling. And he's good on the feet, man. Big body frame. Very talented fighter in Arnold Allen. And Steve Garcia deserves that jump up. But the performance like tonight, he deserves a big step up in competition. I mean, he made it look easy tonight. Onama looked lost. From the jump of the fight, he looked lost. He just didn't seem like there was no punches being thrown back, no countering. He had no answer. He had no answer for the pressure, no answer for the way that Steve Garcia was mixing things up. I think the moment was too big. And like I said, I say that respectfully. I say that in I like watching Onama fight. But certain fighters, no matter what you do, sometimes these moments, these huge moments they're just not quite ready for them yet. This is going to be kind of a step in the right direction for him. Unfortunately, it was a loss, but you can't win fights unless you pull the trigger. And he didn't pull the trigger. And that's why he ended up losing. He looked a little confused, like, why are you stopping the fight? Well, because you took a bunch of unanswered blows and were just covering up, circling away, and sat down, and all these things. You had no answer. And so Steve Garcia looked fantastic tonight. I'm going to tip my hat to him. Great job. I'm hoping they give him somebody like a Patricio Pitbull or a Josh Emmett. Or, I don't think Brian Ortega is going to be at 45 anymore after the weight cut issues. Yusuf Zalal, but I think the Arnold Allen fight makes sense. The two of them both good on the feet. both can wrestle a little bit, and do their work. But also, I think Steve Garcia looks fantastic right now. His body frame looked really good. And I heard them say that on the commentary. So I'm going to just basically repeat what they said. He looked big out there tonight. He looked confident. He looked big. His body frame looked like he's put some size on. Almost felt like he grew like an inch or two. I was like, damn, you look big. Compared to Onama, who I thought was going to be the longer, rangier, bigger looking fighter in terms of physique, that was not the case. Garcia looked fantastic. So good on him. Congratulations to him. Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Ante Delija. Man, we have a lot going on right now. There's so much to unwrap in this one conversation for this one fight. So much drama. I don't even know where to begin. Like, it comes down like it was shaping up to be a good fight. We're in the first round. We're only like maybe a minute in, a minute and a half in. They're throwing down against the fence. And Delija lands a couple hard shots. And then you see Cortes-Acosta cover up. And then you see Herb Dean step in. And you're thinking, okay, fight's over. He covered up. He's, taking the shots. But it was very quick. And you could tell there was something wrong. Like, okay, what happened? And he covers and grabs his face. And everyone, of course, we all go, great, eye poke. And it ended up being an eye poke. But where I think I'm going to get a little, probably some pushback from the fans and people, you guys in the comments, is where do we go from here after what happened last week with the Tom Aspinall situation? And then this happens this week. Are we talking about fighter safety? Because fighter safety is, okay, look, stop the action. Let's see how his eye is. Okay, let's see if he can continue. Let's make it known. But in this situation, there's two ways of the fighter safety. It goes both ways. The fighter that got poked in the eye, we got to say, hey, are you okay? How's your vision? Can you continue to fight? But the way that it wasn't waved off. And I think, the analyst made it very clear that it wasn't waved off. But Herb Dean stepped in. He did what a ref was supposed to do. Like Jason Herzog did. He got all the information. Was it an eye poke? Was it not? Then he made his decision based on if the fighter could continue or not. In this situation, it seemed like because Delija was able to celebrate and thought he won the fight, it seemed like the fight was over. And not only did it seem like that to me, it seemed like that to to everybody else. It seemed like that to DC, to, Biz. It seemed like that to them. And when that happens, the adrenaline dump from a fighter who thought he won, I can't tell you the numbers. I don't have statistics in front of me because it happened tonight. I didn't have time to look it up. And I honestly don't even know how I'd find those statistics. I wonder what the number is, the statistics are on fighters that had been ruled like, okay, look, it was a win. The ref jumps in, stops it, and then the fight has to restart. Whether it's a foul, whether it's whatever, whether it's the bell rang. Like, I'll give you an example. Michael Bisping and Anderson Silva. Well, Bisping ends up winning the fight. Anderson thinks the fight's over. But in this situation, how many fights end? How many times did the person who thought they won end up losing the fight because of the adrenaline dump, because of the excitement, because of the celebration and the energy that was put out because of the celebration? And I'm not saying that Delija should have won the fight. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm getting to the point where, like, should this have been ruled a no contest because not only just was it an eye poke, but because of how it was, I guess, kind of not waved off, but it was stopped. Okay, everyone thought it was done. Everybody thought it was done. So I guess that's when you're talking about how we're going to approach the eye poke rule, this, I think, will fall right into that conversation for the commission. And talking with Andy Foster yesterday and the California Commission and just talking with them and going, hey, there's going to be some rule changes. And I'll get into that later. We'll talk specifically about that. And they're not going to come as early as we thought. There was a lot of talk it was going to come before UFC 322. They don't want to rush it, which is great, but we'll get into that. But there will be some changes coming. In this situation, this is a situation that needs to be obviously rolled into that. Like, how do we approach this? Because we didn't get enough feedback as fans at home that the fight wasn't stopped until about 3, 4, 5 minutes in. And then Acosta Cortez was like, okay, look, Cortes-Acosta was saying like, okay, I can keep fighting. And then we restart the fight. Well, Delija was like, okay, what's going on? I thought I won. There's just a lot. There's a lot going on. Do we just automatically rule that a no contest? Or do we let the fight go on? Because if I'm the promoter, especially if it's a main event like last week, this is a co-main event. It's just, not as big of names, but they're big boys. They're heavyweights. It's the co-main event on your card. If I'm a promoter, I want this fight to continue. That's what I'm paying them for. If I'm Delija, I'm like, I thought I won. I want this fight to be done. Like, if it's a no contest, that sucks. And Delia's like, he wants to fight to get the win. And then Cortes-Acosta's like, no, man, I'm mad at you for poking me in the eye. Cheated. And I either want a point taken or I'm going to knock you out. And then he went out there and knocked him out. But there's a lot. Like, it's hard to get the emotions. If you guys have never fought and had a fight like this where it stopped and then restarted, there's a lot of emotion that goes into it. The adrenaline dump is legit. So you can't just, you don't just turn on the switch. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Until you've been in this situation, it's very hard to understand. Like, you don't just turn it on. Mentally, Delija has checked out. And that's why I want to know. I'm going to have to look it up, hopefully, and just give it back to you guys the information. I was like, what is it in the percentage wise of how many fights have been waved off or stopped, and the fighter that thought he won ends up losing the fight later on, either by knockout or submission or decision, because he just doesn't fight the same anymore. An interesting conversation to have, I guess, but yeah, that's, I think, something they'll probably have to start looking into after this co-main event. They'll probably start looking into that as well for the IPOC rule change or amendment or whatever it is. So Jeremiah Wells, Themba Gorimbo, great fight by Wells. Didn't start off great, but I thought he fought a great fight in rounds 2 and 3. Great job by him. He weathered the storm by Gorimbo in the first round, got taken down, got controlled, just like everywhere. Gorimbo looked good. But I think what happens when you take a guy who's not predominantly like all wrestling, all grappling, and they start wrestling and grappling. And I know why he did it. He did it because Wells has got good power. He's got not big power, but he's got some pretty damn good power. So let's go ahead and clinch and wrestle. I say it all the time. If I knew I was going to fight somebody that had big power, Jay-Z Cavalcante, I was like, I wanted to get right to the clinch. I didn't want to stand with him too much. I just knew that he had a tendency to slow down because he cut a ton of weight. So just weather the storm in the first, try to get into the clinch. And that's kind of what I felt Gorimbo did, was like, let's get up, let me hang on him a little bit. Let me put my size on him a little bit. Let me slow down his the pop and power in his punches. But then I don't think he realized that it makes you tired wrestling. And Wells came in shape. He hadn't fought in a while. He was ready to fight, like just chomping at the bit, going, look, he was ready for this. He's like, man, he's probably in the best shape of his life, because he looked good in rounds 2 and 3. He looked good. I thought he did some good things. Control, got the top position. Like, he did some work. Good on him. I thought he fought a very good fight. Take down to the mount. I loved what he did in the third round when he got to that mount position. He got himself back up to his feet after he had chased the guillotine in the beginning of the third round. I'm like, no, and he went and did it anyways. And I think every hardcore fan's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you chasing the guillotine in the beginning of the third round? You need this round to win. You could get stuck on bottom. Like, that's a big no-no. Fight IQ definitely went out the door in that situation. But he got himself back up to his feet, got to the body lock, was able to like lift and get the takedown a little bit. But what I love, if you guys paid attention to this, he actually scooped him when Gorimbo's back was against the fence. He pulled him away and scooped him like almost like into his crotch, his hips up into his crotch, and just sat on him right into mount. I was like, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. He almost like elevated him up between his legs in a parallel position to the ground and then just sat on him. I was like, that was very impressive. Very impressive. So great job by Jeremiah Wells. I thought it was a good performance. Started a little slow, but overall great performance. Not much to say about Del Valle. Like, great job. Gets to the back, gets the submission. Nicely done by him. Round 1, I think they were only like 2 minutes in. He ends up getting to the back, getting the finish. Had to readjust the grip here and there, but overall great job. Radtke and Frunza. Like Radtke though had the submission early in round 1. And I thought the fight was done. I thought it was over. And he ends up getting the rear naked choke in the 3rd round instead. So the good thing on him is that he didn't blow his arms up. He didn't lose so much energy by the 1st round of chasing that rear naked choke and trying and then never getting it, that he was able to continue to work and just kept the top position. He dominated the whole fight from beginning to end. But it says something to the promoter when you are still trying to get the finish with like minutes, like a minute or 2 left in the fight. I mean, it says right here, 30 seconds. 30 seconds left in the fight. It says a lot. Like not being happy with just going the distance, especially after you had him in so much trouble in the 1st round. You had him defending the rear naked choke, and you didn't get it. And then you still were fighting hard in the 2nd, dominating, but not really like didn't have anything that was really close to finishing the fight. But in the 3rd, understanding there's only 30 seconds left, and then you go out there and you get that finish. I thought it was fantastic. You got Cody Durden versus Nascimento. Great fight, man. Great fight. I thought Durden was looking good, came out, short notice. He took the fight on short notice, I believe. The pressure, the aggressiveness, I thought he looked fantastic, man. I thought he looked really good. The calf kicks were finding their mark on Durden, and you can see that Durden started to switch stances. And what happens when fighters start to switch stances is they're not comfortable in that other stance. So I suggest to every fighter that if you are gonna know, with this day and age with calf kicks, everyone needs to learn at least 2 or 3 combinations from a switch stance position. Excuse me. Learn the switch stance position. Learn a couple combinations from there that you just throw. And as you get better at throwing those combinations, oh my goodness. He just hit a home run, made it 3-4. Sorry, I'm watching the World Series. Game 7. Right now, the Dodgers just hit a home run. We're in the bottom of the 8th. Just cut that completely off. Sorry about that, but I'm watching as I'm talking with you guys. So, huge deal. Toronto's up 4-3. If you guys are not following or you guys forgot about it. Oh, never mind. You guys are going to see this tomorrow. Jeez, what am I doing? Sorry. Thought this was live. Anyways, yeah, so Durden coming pressure, bringing a lot of pressure. Just basically gassed him. Looked like he gassed himself out. Made a mistake. Left himself in that anaconda. The thing that I want to talk about in this fight is, we'll go back and I'm going to bring this up again later. Is that like Nascimento did a good job at weathering everything that Durden did in the 1st round, but going to the well with the calf kicks. And by going to the well in the calf kicks, it made Durden switch the way he fought. It made him make some changes throughout the fight. And then it started to look like he started getting tired. The pressure wasn't working anymore. And then he had to fight in an uncomfortable position by switching stance all the time. And I thought that Nascimento was able to weather the storm with the big shots and the boxing and everything else that Durden was doing. And then came out, was able to chase that submission, able to get it. Great job by him. There is something in the rules here that I wanted to talk about, but I'm going to push that towards the end when we talk about the rule changes that were potentially coming here soon. So you had that fight, and then you had the Billy Elekana versus Christian. Another situation. Tonight was just cluttered with things tonight. This was like one of those moments of just like, man, the eye poke last week, and not foreseeing what was going to happen in the co-main event, and understanding like, dang, what else could happen? This though is a mistake on the ref's part. I'm not gonna bag on the ref, because the ref's got a lot going on when they're looking for these chokes. Face down, arm was stuck. And in this situation, because the arm was stuck, we ended up where the ref wasn't in the right position to see the tap. And so he was eventually choked unconscious because he didn't see the tap. And Chris Taione is a very good referee. I think he's a fantastic referee. He left himself in the wrong position to see how the choke. He was looking more for the neck and the choke to see if the fighter was fighting hands, not realizing that the right hand was stuck, trapped inside the legs of Elekana. And it's I know it's a bad look, but there's a lot of things going on in a split decision, and I know it's the ref's job to do this. What I don't like is, like, people like myself included, is that we can't go bagging on the refs in this. We can make it be known that, hey, he messed up. That's it. But I saw media tonight and just basically saying, like, oh, another ref that just did this, another ref that did that. It's not as, I think everyone just thinks because you do this every night. Every fight is different. Every fight brings a new threat. It happens so fast. How many times have we seen a guy get punched or head kicked or something, and the ref is slightly out of position, and he takes like one or two more shots before the ref can actually get there? I don't want it to be a thing where we automatically go to bagging on the refs every single time, and we can just simply put like, hey man, you made a mistake. Simply put, you made a mistake. And I don't think anyone's going to deny that he made a mistake. He put himself in the wrong position. He wasn't able to see both hands. He wasn't able to see if the choke was set in. He should have been up and moving around a little bit, not fully up. He's looking to see the face to see if he was out. I think you could see the back of the body to see if like the legs kind of like slumped or the shoulders slumped as the choke got submitted. I don't know, but I think we need to get away from it's always the refs, because like guys like Jason Herzog took it for the Tom Aspinall thing. Jason Herzog did everything right in that situation. And in this situation, Chris messed up. He was in the wrong spot. It's unfortunate. But we see people, and I know this is not a good excuse, but we see people get choked out all the time. They don't tap. And like I said, it's not a good excuse. It's not. I'm not condoning like Chris's position in this and where he should have been, and he was out of position, didn't see the tap. But we've seen refs allow. We've seen refs not get there in time, or just not realize the fighter was out for way more than the 2 seconds that Chris Taione was in the wrong spot. Christian was out for Kevin Christian was out for what? 2-3 seconds? And I know it's a long time. I'm not condoning this. I'm not saying that it's okay. In no way am I saying that. But as a lot of us fighters, we've been choked out multiple times, which is, not something we should be bragging about. But we also, a lot of us choose to go out. Because if you still have that little bit of ounce of where it hasn't fully enclosed in your eyes, where it just goes from white to like black, starts to close in and you can't see anything anymore, that means that you still have a chance to escape. That means that fighter behind you maybe potentially thinks he doesn't have it, and he starts to loosen up a little bit, and then you can wiggle out a little bit. A lot of fighters will take it all the way to the very end just so they have that, they can say they have that last opportunity they just couldn't get out. Because there's been plenty of times where I know fighters that were almost out, and the fighter that has the back decides to adjust a tiny bit, thinking that they don't have them, and then that fighter's able to escape. So I understand. In this situation, though, he was caught dead to rights, stuck. Christian had no answer, and Billy Elekana was able to get the finish. Great performance by him. Chris Taione was in a very bad position and missed it. Just missed the tap. I'm sure that he'll be getting a call from the commission, or they're probably right after. They look, referees always have a meeting right before and right after the fights. We see them all the time in the back. As soon as the card is done, The refs are all gathered up together, either in a room, but normally just right outside the stadium, like not outside, but like right outside, like where like my desk would be, or the where my desk would be, like to talk or do commentary on. It would be right outside in the hallway there, back by the locker rooms, kind of offset away from the fighter area. And they just talk about, what did you see in this? They talk to the judges too. Like, how did you come up with that scorecard? Why were you 30-27 and everyone else was 29-28? We want to know the reasoning. How come you didn't put yourself in the right position to see the tap? Did you not see the illegal knee? You know, they do this on every time there's a fight. And not just the UFC fights, not just the PFL fights. They do it for all the small shows too. You know, they want to get feedback and want to know exactly how the refs are thinking and the judges are thinking, which is good on their part. Lee versus Cuamba, good fight, man. Overall, great fight. You had Lee with the back take and holding the body in the triangle, standing in the first round. Blew his legs out maybe a little bit. He looked a little tired coming in the second. And Cuamba with the mix, he mixed it up very well in the second round. Cuamba just, to me, he has all of the tools to do everything. He stuffed the takedowns early in the second round. Excuse me. I have bad allergies this time of year because there's a lot of wind in Texas. Sorry. But Cuamba was able to survive the first round with his back taken pretty much the whole round. And then the second round, he stopped a couple of the first initial takedowns and was able to land some combinations. And he's like, you know what? Screw it. I'll take the top position. I'll take you down. Got the takedown, ended up on top. Beautifully done. You know, and then as the fight went on, he fought a good fight. Cuamba with the league gets the takedown, slips off the top, as I recall. And you see Cuamba doing a good job of getting back to the top position, controlling everything else from there. Takes it back, gets the top position, and dominates the rest of the fight. Johnson and Dumas. Dumas is one of those fighters that I love the way he fights. Reckless, careless, doing spinning attacks, all of these things, but wasted energy. When you're fighting someone like Johnson, I think he was hoping that he would catch Johnson off guard, make Johnson fight a little bit more timid and scared. None of that worked. I saw Johnson when he got taken down in the first. He was like talking to his corner. I'm okay. Just relax. I'm just biding my time. I'm going to get myself back up to my feet and I'm going to let it all go. And sure enough, he did. He had a great performance, man. So, good job by him, on the ninja choke. I thought he did a great job. There's a lot for young fighters when they first come in to wrap their head around, and he didn't let the moment get to him. A far cry from what Onama went through tonight. Now, I know it's a different situation. Main event, not main event, but I thought Johnson looked fresh out there. He looked good. He looked composed. Very important. Very important when you have a young fighter coming up. How do they approach it? Do they fight reckless and careless? Do they take it all in? Do they control the situation, wherever it is, whatever it's doing? And then, do they still fight? Do they still try to get after? Do they still try to bring the action, or do they wait for the fight to develop in front of them and then try to do something? Not just be a counter striker, but to be someone that tries to create the action, that tries to go first. That's what you want to see from young fighters if you're a promoter. I want to see the one that takes the fight to their opponent. So I think that's kind of where they're at in that. That's pretty much going to wrap it up on the UFC talk. And then we'll go ahead and talk about the Bo Nickal situation. Bo Nickal apparently has been bounced down from the main card to, I believe, be in the main event on the prelims. It'll be the featured fight on the prelims against Rodolfo Vieira. Rodolfo Vieira is fantastic on the ground. Physically a big guy. Doesn't have the wrestling, obviously, of Bo Nickal, but is physically looks like a very strong and big guy for the weight class at 185 pounds. Should be a fantastic fight. Really looking forward to this fight. And when I'm taking a look at how Bo's going to win this fight, we're going to have to see a lot different fighter than we did against RDR. We're going to have to see, not just because he lost and not because of that, but he's going to have to be somebody that keeps his back off the fence, because he does not want Rodolfo Vieira to put that pressure and that pace on him, like in terms of like striking and mixing it up, because I don't think Bo Nickel wants to go to the ground with him. I don't think that'd be wise, especially in the first round. And for those of you guys like, oh yeah, no shit, he doesn't want to go to the ground. The thing is Bo is somebody that when people tell him he can't do something, he'll try and do it. I mean, it's ill-advised, I think, as such a young fighter, but that's how Bo is. You know, I think a lot of people told him that he couldn't be as good as he was in wrestling. Look how damn good he is. But this isn't wrestling, buddy. This is a fight. So Rodolfo, like Vieira's striking has gotten a lot better. Got a good jab. He's more composed, more relaxed. Not the same Vieira that fought Fluffy. He attacked Fluffy, chased submissions the whole first round, didn't get it. And when he didn't get it, it kind of left us it left himself gassed out. And then Fluffy just put the pace on him, which we've seen Fluffy do to everyone else since then. You know? And in this fight, I mean, look, I think there was a lot of flack that, I don't want to say the UFC caves to the flack of, you know, hey, why is he on the main card? But I think because there was other fighters, and I'm going to pull it up right now. There was other fighters that were on the prelims that people are like, what are you doing? Why is this guy on the main card? These other fighters are not. Like, how are you going to have Gregory Rodriguez and Kopylov not on the main card? It looks like they already adjusted. How you Beneil Dariush and Saint Denis? That fight wasn't apparently scheduled for the main card. Now that fight got bumped up. Good, because that's a fantastic fight. An absolute fantastic fight. You know, there was just fights on the card that you were scratching your head going like, how come this fight's on there and you're not putting these other fighters on there? So they updated that card. But you got young kids, you know, that are all the way down here at the beginning. But I mean, this card is stacked from beginning to end. UFC 322. So I'm glad. I mean, I don't even know if I would have put Bo as the featured fight. And that's not a dig at Bo. It really isn't. But you know, you've got some really good fights that are on here that could have potentially have been there. But I get it. You got Roman Kopylov, Gregory Rodriguez, you got Aaron Blanchfield, Tracy Cortez. You guys stop, because the Aaron Blanchfield, Tracy Cortez is actually on the prelims. It looks like it's on the main card, but it's not. So I think this is going to be one of those fights for Bo that it's kind of chitter get off the pot. I mean, don't get me wrong, his career's not over if he loses this fight, but it's not going to be what we all thought it would be. He still has plenty of time. Not only that, he's really young. You know, he's not old by any means. He still has time to become a fantastic fighter. It just a little bit of the, obviously, I think the hype will be gone, and he'll have to build that back up 100%. So there's that. All right, look, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the updates kind of on these rules. So the rules that, you know, last week, I was talking about it last week during the week. I said, hey, we can see changes to these eye poke rules as early as UFC 322. After talking with guys like Andy Foster and some of the conversation that I've had with him and a couple other refs, people that are in the know in terms of this, is that will not happen. They don't want to rush it. They want to make sure that they're not making hasty decisions and just, you know, putting this thing too fast and, you know, and having to pull it back. The other thing is they'll have to they'll have to make sure that the UFC understands in the beginning of this, it may be difficult. You may lose main events co-main events, you know, in the middle of a fight, you may end up having a scorecard of, you know, a fighter having 2 points taken away in one round. And essentially the fight's over unless he finishes the fight by knockout or submission. You know, those are valid points. So from what I understand, I had said, look, this may be happening as soon as UFC 322. That is not the case. They are hoping to have something kind of wrapped up and finished by probably sometime around February, March, probably more likely March, pushing maybe to April. And I brought this up as well. I said, hey, you know, why don't we exhaust every other avenue that we can and put a little pressure on the UFC or the organizations, not just the UFC, but all organizations that use these gloves, and say, hey, like, why don't we just change the gloves? And it became like this. Well, if we change them here, do we make other promotions use the same gloves? We got to change them across the board so we avoid, once we know there's a problem with the glove and we acknowledge there's a problem with a glove, do we continue to let promotions use it knowing that someone could potentially get poked in the eye? And you don't really want to put the UFC in that position to do that. So what you want to do is you want to say, hey, okay, well, what can we do to make this easier for everyone across the board? In the beginning, it'll be tough. No doubt about it. But what they're going to do is they're going to make a rule change. You will get your warning. You will get your warning for your hands being open. And I had originally said that every time your hand was open and you reach it out, after you've gotten your warning, they were going to take a point. That is not correct from what I understand now. So it'll be as soon as you get your warning, you'll get one warning as soon as they see your hand open. And then once you do an eye poke after your warning, no matter what, it's a point. No matter what, it's a point. And if you get an eye poke again, it's another point. So the commission is very not hesitant. They understand that they're going to propose these rules, and the UFC, they would like to see something change. But they want to make sure that the UFC understands, like in the beginning, before fighters get used to this, having to always keep their hands closed and the potential of, not parrying a punch, doing all these things, that will end up having an effect on these fights. But they're hoping that it's a short-term effect for the first, I don't know, however long. How long will they, how long will it take for the fighters to adjust? Because the one of the biggest things that he told me, this was the thing that he told me, was it was like 95 or 98% of all the eye pokes come from like 1 or 2% of the fighters. It's the same fighters. It's not like we have some epidemic of like people getting poked in the eye. It happens. We have open finger gloves. It happens. We know that. And because we know what happens, like the adjustment should just be simply put, as soon as the ref sees that your hands are open, they give you the hard warning. Hey, watch your hands. Once the hard warning is given, I don't understand why it's a hard warning. It is what it is. Once the hard warning is given, if you poke someone in the eye, it's a point. And you essentially take it out of the fighter's hands, or the ref's hands, and say, hey, no matter what, it's a point. As soon as you say no, as soon as you give them a hard warning of, hey, your hands are open, watch your hands. And after that, if the eye poke happens, it will be an automatic point. Because we've always wondered, why have we not done that before? Why have we always been like, okay, look, it was an eye poke, but it wasn't intentional? And I'll have to agree, there's been some media that have talked about, like, what's the difference between intentional and unintentional? There is no difference. A foul is a foul, correct? I mean, that's what I heard a couple guys on the media say the same thing. But I'm gonna take you into a fight that happened earlier tonight, right? Let me see which fight it was. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Let me see. It was here somewhere. I think Nascimento. So Nascimento, I was talking, or when I was watching the fight, he takes the back. And when he gets to the back, or sorry, no, not the back. He gets to the anaconda. When he gets to the anaconda, he's looking to finish it. And when he gets there, as he's trying to finish it, he puts his toes in the cage. I think Dan Murgliata was the ref. Dan doesn't see it, or the ref doesn't see it, I should just say. I don't want to say it's Dan if it wasn't Dan. And the ref doesn't see it. That is technically, if the ref would have seen it, should he have stopped the fight because of the foul, took him out of the choke position, stood him up, and because the ref saw him put his toes in the cage, do we then go to that extreme of saying, hey, sure, it was a finishing position, but you were using your toes in the cage to hold the position? So I take a point. I mean, it's a fair question. It's no different than if I try to take you down against the fence, because after talking with Andy, like, they're done with the warnings. You get the one hard warning, keep your hands out of the fence. You're done with the one hard warning with, keep your hands closed. As soon as the foul happens, it's a point. The fence grab, the eye poke, the groin kick. And the groin kick's a whole other conversation, because some guys are tall, some guys are shorter, some guys lunge in with their striking as the guy's throwing the inside leg kick. But I mean, once you make the changes to the eye poke and you say, okay, hey, it's every time, and I like this actually a lot better than when they were saying if the hands are open and you keep reaching out, and even though it doesn't poke someone in the eye, that you can't take a point. I like that. I'm glad they didn't do that, because that was discussed, I guess, apparently. So now, hands are open, keep your hands closed. Hands are open, keep your hands closed. That is your hard warning. If you poke them in the eye, it will be a point. Talk just like that. And if it's severe enough, it'll be 2 points. Or a potential DQ. Because one of the things that Andy and I were talking about, as I said, like, with the fence grabs, with the eye pokes, how many warnings are we giving? That's one of the hardest parts. I think that's one of the biggest things that I think the commentary teams are frustrated with, and the fighters are frustrated with. I'll give you an example, is that, when I fought Tony Ferguson, I was on the third round. I was already totally fucked up. Cuts everywhere, blood in my eyes, couldn't see anything. Got to a position where I was working a sweep from underneath, trying to get to the top position. Felt like he was about to go over, legit grabbed the fence. Herb tells him to stop, let go of the fence. He lets go of the fence. I go to sweep him again. I feel like he's almost over. He grabs the fence again. No change of position. No standing back up to the feet. None of that. Just, hey, don't do that. Let go of the fence. Meanwhile, I'm still on bottom, getting my ass kicked. You understand? So one of the things, and the major thing, is less warnings across the board. That's huge. That's huge. What good are the rules if we don't implement them? Big John and I have had this discussion for I don't know how long about the fence grabbing. He's like, oh, if it's just like 1 or 2 fingers. No, what does that mean? 2 fingers in the fence is 2 fingers in the fence. It's a fence grab. The toes in the fence are not allowed. Why would 2 fingers be allowed? So I like the direction now that I'm hearing this. They're not rushing it, is one. Looking for like February, March, maybe early April for the rule change or rule amendment somewhere along them. That's one. 2 is it will not just be reaching the hand out. There will actually have to be a foul for it to be a point, which I love. I was doing the show with Angelo the other day. He's like, if the cop doesn't see me speeding down the road, how are you going to give me a speeding ticket? If I didn't actually commit the foul, how are you going to see me? How are you going to give me take a point? It's insane. And I had to agree with Angelo, which is very difficult for me to do because he's never right. I had to agree with him. I thought to myself, man, you're right, but it wouldn't surprise me because it wouldn't surprise me that the commission would do this or that they would sign on to this because look, losing a main event like a heavyweight title fight to an eye poke is getting it would super frustrate the promotion. Extremely frustrating if you're the promotion. So anyways, I think they're headed in the right directions. We'll see this hopefully sometime, probably around, like I said, around that time, February, March, April. Do they go all the way in? Do they say, hey, once we give you the one warning, and this goes across for every foul, you kick on the inside of the leg and it hits the cup a tiny bit. I mean, I think you probably got to give them the one warning for the cup because that is so adjustable based on did he step into it? You know, did you just legit kick him? Like, how was it? Like, how did it happen? That's probably the one that needs to be, it's all circumstantial. Like the circumstances play a big part in that. But then with the eye pokes, did the guy step in? Like that doesn't matter. Your hand should have been open. I feel like the fence grab should be one of the biggest ones too. Is as soon as you grab the fence, it's a point. As soon as you grab it, because if you know what you're doing with your weapons, and I'm supposed to know what I'm doing, blocking punches and parrying punches, I should know what I'm doing. Then that's it. Like I should be a point. If I grab with 2 fingers, it should be a point. If I grab with my toes, it should be a point. We know the rules. This is the last thing I'm going to say on this is this. We do the referees come into the back and they tell you, I will tell you, movement, like keep moving for action. They'll tell you, about illegal blows. They do the walkthrough every single time. It's the same thing. Every ref, they talk to every fighter of the fight, of the fighter that they're reffing. They have that conversation. They say, hey, you're doing this, you're doing that. Like, okay, this will be a foul. This is a down opponent. This is not a down opponent. Like they walk through the rules. Do you have any questions? Almost every time we always go, no, we're good. But not knowing the rules puts you in this position where, like, when they do grab the fence, the back was pretty much their hard warning. Keep your fingers tucked in. Keep your fingers out of the fence. Like, though that's brought to us in the back every time. So that should be almost like your hard warning. Then you get inside the cage and you grab the fence. Then you get inside the cage and you poke the eye. And then there's your point. But then we still, for the longest time, have been taking points. Or not taking points, I should say. Giving more warnings. So that seems like the route that they're going to get rid of. There'll be no more of this, like another warning. And then another warning. That'll be gone. Which I think is good. I think that's where a lot of people's frustration is coming from. a lot of my frustration was coming from that when I was fighting. I can't recall not one time did I ever poke someone in the eye. Not one. I had kicked someone in the groin a couple times. I think Gil one time. Shit, Kid Yamamoto made me famous because of that. I kicked him and broke his cup. He stepped in, lunged in on a big like a big hook, and he was tiny. He was maybe 5 foot, maybe 5'1". He was tiny. Stepped right into a kick. You could hear his cup crack. Went down. Instant away came in, talking to him. Hey, can you continue? Couldn't continue. Done. He was wearing a plastic cup though. Wasn't wearing a steel cup. Yeah. Yeah. And that's actually the fight that got me signed to the UFC off of that fight. So there's going to be the changes coming soon. We'll see. I'm sure we'll get more details as it goes on. I'll be in contact with obviously some of the judges and commissions and stuff to try to just follow up, figure out what they're doing. I like to know. I want to know these things. I think it's very important for fighters to know what's going on. I think it's important I don't consider myself media. I know a lot of people have said that I'm media now because all I do is a podcast. But instead of just saying like, oh man, the refs messed up again, I think maybe like look into it more. Have conversations about how fast I mean, try and go ref like a kid's wrestling match. Try and go ref somebody's like kickboxing match. Put yourself out there. Offer it. Go to a local gym and see if they have smokers. Try and ref that. It's not easy. I've reffed like kids Muay Thai fighting. I've reffed smokers. I've reffed smokers for MMA. I've reffed smokers for jiu-jitsu. I've reffed like full-on Muay Thai like kickboxing matches and MMA matches. Little kid matches too. I've reffed like jiu-jitsu and MMA matches for kids that are like 7, 8 years old. No contact to the head, just body stuff and grappling and stuff. It's not easy, man. So when I say I sympathize with the refs when everyone wants to bag on them, I know it's their job. I'm not saying that. I know it's their job. But it's not as easy as we all think. It's not. So, all right. Well, hey, let's go ahead and move on. Gable Steveson. That's twice I've done that to him. That poor guy. I interviewed him in Sioux Falls one time. And damn, I was live on TV and I knew it was Gable Steveson. Knew it. And it just flows off the tongue a lot easier to say Gable Steveson. And so I was like, oh man. I felt so bad, embarrassed. But he came up to me afterwards like, hey man, it's cool. It happens all the time. I was like, all right, cool. Gable, man, great performance. Dirty boxing, big power, big shots. The real deal. Obviously, the wrestling is there. Compact body. He's not a huge guy. Like, he's thick, but he's not a tall guy. He's maybe 6 foot. I mean, he's not a big guy. He's thick, short, stout, got a great personality, has a good look to him, very marketable. If I'm the UFC, I'm thinking, okay, let's take a little bit of the Bo Nickel approach. Let's let him get a couple fights outside. Let's see how he does. I got to see him get challenged a little bit more. Like the UFC Bo Nickel was a chance. Like they went out on the Bo thing, and even Bo, they say, go get some more fights and we'll have you back. And, and then they signed him and then he had, the fights, and then now coming off the loss to RDR, let's going to see how he fights now. We're going to see how he fights now. Vieira is not an easy fight stylistically. It's going to be a tough fight for him. Because Vieira can box now. He's got a little bit better stand-up. He's a little bit more composed. All of those things. But Gable, he's got something that pretty much none of these heavyweights have. You have a couple heavyweights. Let me see who they are. Pull them up. You got Jailton Almeida and Curtis Blades. Those are your heavyweights that can wrestle. That's it. Those are your heavyweights that can wrestle. And I can tell you right now, they don't wrestle like him. They're also bigger than him. Like, he's huge. But that doesn't mean that that's going to help them with his wrestling. And with Gable, he just got to avoid the submission attempts off the bat, I think, with Jailton Almeida. I think he can beat Jailton. Give him some time, guys. I know I'm fast tracking him here and I'm talking big right now, but in time, stylistically, he's a problem for Almeida. Curtis Blades, he's a problem for Curtis as well. Curtis, though, he's got pretty good stand-up. But I'm excited for this young man. He's got a bright future. Whatever he decides to do, he seems like if he puts his mind to it, he can do it. So we're going to find out. You know, he made the last round of the cuts for the Buffalo Bills for like a DN position. I mean, he was born and bred to be a wrestler. He's done that. Olympic gold medalist, multiple-time national champion in wrestling. He's phenomenal, man. Absolutely phenomenal. Training with John Jones as his training partner, coach, you know, something along those lines. He's got what he needs. He's surrounding himself with the right people right now. We'll see how it all works out. So, which I wish him nothing but the best. He is fantastic, man. I'm looking forward to seeing him grow. I want to see what he can do in the sport. I think him in the heavyweight division would definitely spruce it up. God knows the heavyweight division needs somebody like him. They need a little bit more, you know, a little bit more action. They need a little bit more personality in there. So hopefully he gets to that position. Hopefully he everything goes his way, because I really enjoy watching him wrestle. I'm looking forward to seeing him fight. Really looking forward to seeing him fight. All right, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this show. Hit that like and subscribe button. I want to thank you guys so much for being patient. I'm dealing with the allergies, as you guys can tell, and I just want to thank you guys, you know, so much. Be patient with us and be patient with me, and let's go ahead and rock this thing. Let's keep it rolling. I will miss the Tuesday Night Live this week. I will be on a camping school trip with my son, and so I'll miss the Tuesday Night Live, but I will do a Q&A on returning, and then I will be leaving to New York, New Jersey to spend some time with the Nurmagomedovs, Islam, and everyone else, and I'll be actually like vlogging that for you guys. So you guys pay attention. I'm gonna be getting that up hopefully on this YouTube channel, hopefully by next week. So I'll be there basically, I think, like Thursday through Sunday, spending some time with my brothers, getting a chance to see them, and getting a little bit of training in with them as well. And hope you guys follow along. Hit that bell for notifications, because shows will be dropping periodically throughout this week, next week, and the next 2 weeks. A lot going on. There's a lot going on. I'm working on a lot of things, doing the best I can, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support me.